I'm Taimullah Abdur-Rahman. Come with me as I take you into the lives of those who paid their debt to society and now they're trying to figure it out. This is EXCONversations. It's hard to understand for some, but not for those that live it. I'm talking about the numbness to violence that growing up in the inner city can create. As my guest and old friend, Orlando Cruz, spells it out, he never wanted to initiate trouble, but he also developed an intense sensitivity to any perceived challenge, and he was always up for it.
I was never looking for trouble. For me, it was, if you bumped me the wrong way, it was an issue. But I didn't want it to be, I didn't want it to be an issue.
You were hardwired for it to be an issue.
If you did it, I thought you were challenging my manhood. On the opposite end of the spectrum, I would never bump into you. I don't want to go out and bother some people for no reason.
Right.
Why am I going to do that?
Even as a kid, Orlando was different. A standout, smart, confident. A drug dealer, yes, but unusually disciplined in his personal habits. That set him apart from his crowd and probably generated some resentment.
Let me take you to the beginning. At the time, I had some good friends. We had been friends, childhood throughout. We're young teenagers now, and I'm making money. And all I'm concerned about is money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't party. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I liked going to school. I was that dude. So, I say it. I'm selling drugs, but I was on school. I was on time every day.
Yeah.
But now they're transitioning into that. And so a lot of these guys now are smoking pot. And what happens is, me being an entrepreneur, I say, well, you guys are smoking this, maybe I'll provide that.
Right.
Now I'm the man when it comes to that product. I'm 16 at the time.
So you're talking about you were dealing crack,
and weed at the time.
And they were doing weed like constantly.
And they would, they started smoking. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. And now they're partying.
Orlando grew up in Heath Street, one of the toughest housing projects in Boston. His Heath Street gang was constantly warring with the gang from another project literally across the street, Academy Homes.
Virtual shootouts every other night.
And you're talking about
taking lives
feet apart.
We're literally talking across the street.
Across the street.
You cross Columbus Ave, you're in Academy Homes.
Right.
You cross over, you're in Bromley Heath. But they had an issue. Told me they needed a gun.
So your friends have an issue with the guys. They have
over
problems
there.
with.
They said, hey, we're going in this area. We need protection. I was the man at the time. I had all the, I was the one that carried. I had the money, and hence I could buy them. So if anybody needed one and they had a good enough reason, they could come to me. And I would say, hey, just make sure you bring it back. I gave them a 38 revolver. Sometime later on during the day, they had approached me and said, hey, we did what we did. The police chased us. We had to toss it. I took it as a loss because I'd have probably had to do the same thing. But news travels fast and things happen. And in the same day, somebody said, listen, they never threw the gun away. They're actually talking about robbing you. And I'm thinking, they're going to rob me with my gun? You're not going to do that. No. So I approached them. Listen, I heard y'all still have my gun. No, we don't have your gun. We tossed it. Don't let me find out y'all have my gun. But I swear to God, if I don't have my gun, tonight, I'm shooting at least 2 of y'all. I really didn't want to shoot him. I went and grabbed something to eat, and I'm walking down Center Street, and right across there's a liquor store right on Center Street. Right across the liquor store, I see all of them. And I went to, I approached them, and I said, listen, I'm telling you guys, this is gonna be bad. Finally, one guy got the courage to tell me, yo, you're not getting and pardon my French, but I'm quoting, you're not getting shit. And he kind of lifted up his jacket and he showed me the gun. And at that point, I looked away from him and I started talking to another gentleman. And I shot that guy 2 times in his chest through my jacket. He didn't know that I had a gun pointed right at him. He fell, everybody started to run. I'm shooting individuals less than 3 feet away from me. They're point blank in my face. I'm having conversations and I'm just shooting. And I said, at least 2 of them I have to get. So I got him, and then I got the one guy next to him.
Orlando was gunning down guys he had known for years. Guys who hours earlier, he would have called friends.
I had anticipated that I was going to shoot 2 people that day, and I was going to shoot them in the toes. That's what I was thinking. It didn't happen that way. Once I pulled the trigger one time, that was it. Your finger is now, your brain is not doing the thinking. I'm looking at myself outside, from the outside, thinking, wow, this is for real. These are guys I know. They might not even make, the first guy I knew, this guy I might have killed him. I'd been smart about everything up into that, but I'd let my emotions get the best of me.
Maybe the most difficult thing to understand about this incident, for people who didn't grow up in an aggressive environment, was how utterly normal and unremarkable it was to Orlando.
It wasn't like I was being a tough guy, or it was what they would have done it to me. The irony here is that I grew up in a 2-parent household where I knew my parents loved me. I wasn't someone who was deprived of or looking, I wasn't angry. It was what we did. I had a gun. Somebody does something, you shoot them.
Orlando decided it was best not to go home. And the next morning, he was on time for school. It's strange how a child is not able to, and I'm not making excuses for you, you can talk about this yourself, is not able to make the connection that what I just did has the potential to end my entire life of freedom, but I'm still gonna get up and go to school because school matters. Like, is there a disconnect there or what?
Honestly, that didn't cross my mind. My only concern at the time was, I hope I didn't kill someone. Because if I shot him and injured him, then the G code is you're not snitching. So regardless of what happens, I'm not gonna get in trouble from this. The only trouble I can have and the only repercussion is revenge.
Yeah.
But I'm not worried about the police. My sister had gone to school with me, and she told me how there were individuals shooting at the house. I didn't go home that night. I went somewhere else. But my sister had gone to the same school, and she was fearful that they would do something to her because they shot at the house. So I gave my sister a gun. So my sister's in school with
15 years old.
Yeah, she's in school with a gun. Now, I told my sister, do not go home with this gun. Because I had taken every gun out the house. Don't go home with the gun. And that's what she did. The police had raided the house that day. They found the gun. I got arrested the next day. My mother they evicted her, got her out of the house.
He had put his family in danger. His mother was now homeless, and he was behind bars.
They had me for the gun. They had charged me for the shootings as well, but, they had to prove their case.
And what were you thinking?
I was thinking, They can't prove that. I might get in trouble for the gun, but I'm not going to get in trouble for...
Still, you're still thinking,
I'm not going to get in trouble for that. Well, and at this point, I'm locked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they took me in, but I'm not worried. You know, I'm thinking it's my first time. It wasn't that serious to me. I'm thinking they're going to give me a bail and I'm going to get out of here. But the concern was they wanted to hold me because one of the guys, they said, may not live. And they were going to wait to charge me with murder if he didn't live.
So did they live? They lived?
They all survived.
So what makes you think they wouldn't testify? Because it would be worse for them.
They couldn't. Now, come on, come on. We from the same project. You're not, everybody going to know if you're told. You can't tell on me. Like, you just got to go handle your business. So I'm not worried about them.
Orlando was about to find out that the G code, an unspoken code of silence among street guys, wasn't as strong as he thought.
I went to court at the hearing date. Those 3 guys were all there with their parents.
Wow.
Ready to test.
Wow.
Now, they had me for 3 counts of intent to murder, 3 counts with assault and battery to murder, for firearm possession. I mean, it was one of those things where I just didn't, I didn't believe in gambling. When I knew that, hey, I could probably get out of here in a year or less.
What happened when you were sentenced?
My offense was dealt with strictly by the juvenile courts and, DYS. They committed me until I was 18.
Orlando was first sent to a youth detention center in Boston, where a series of social workers evaluated him to see what level of facility would be best for the remainder of his time.
I had different counselors and therapists come in, and they're like, we really don't know what's wrong. I mean, he has no issues. They're looking at my school grades. They're saying, this is not a bad person. This is actually somebody who's smart.
Being a good student paid off. His advanced vocabulary and overall ability to present well gave him a huge advantage.
The fruits of what people thought of educated people. These teachers couldn't fathom saying, we really have a bright kid here. He's not had any trouble prior to this. I had managed to shoot 3 people, point blank range, could have killed them. You made a stupid mistake. And we see that you made a stupid mistake. By June or July, they had determined what they believed was the appropriate facility I should go to. A minimum secured facility in Greenfield, Mass. This is an open door facility. I can walk out, I can go, I can catch a cab from here and pay $300 in cab fare and make it home. But I knew, that's gonna be problems for me. Let me go ahead, let me do this, bang it out. It was camp.
Yeah, I came to come see you out there.
It was camp. It was fun. It was fun. I had done things there that, I didn't do these things ever. I was archery. I'm canoeing.
But something else was happening to Orlando during his time away. He began to see himself differently, reflected in the words and faces of the young men around him.
I had an opportunity to really be around individuals who the system was trying to rehabilitate. And I could look at them and say, you really do need rehabilitation. Is this how you behave out there? The conversations I would have, and it was really me being around and hearing them saying, I was like that. Maybe not as bad, but I still thought if you bumped into me the wrong way, I would have probably shot you. And now I could see, that's stupid.
Orlando got released after less than 6 months. It was time to get on with life. But back to the street life or a new one? What was your plan when you wanted to come home?
Go back to school and graduate.
While you still sold drugs?
I still wanted to hustle. I still, I felt like I was smart about it. I wasn't doing it to the same degree that I was doing it when I was younger. I just needed to keep money in my pocket.
Orlando was still dealing drugs, but he did graduate high school. He applied to and was accepted to college. But by this time, he was also a parent.
I had a daughter, and then I had, at the time, her mother. She wanted more. She wanted more for herself, and because I was the man in her life, she wanted more for me.
Orlando wanted more too. With the support of the woman in his life, he decided it was time to stop selling drugs.
I said, nah, this is it. I'm done. It didn't feel right. I didn't want to do it. I was just done. I never looked back and thought, and afterwards, money was different. I was, shit, this is hard.
But what would you do? What were you thinking?
School. I said, let me go ahead and finish college. I had the support of, my child's mother. We both took time to, she's going to school at this hour. I'm going to school at this hour. We have one car between the two of us. It was hard. I mean, I tell you, it was a challenge.
But he was up for the challenge, and he finished college. He thought his new identity included being treated with equity now. But some things never change.
Being black hadn't changed. And so when I would get pulled over and I would be spoken to in a particular manner, I thought to myself, I don't like this. And even with, they don't always know there's a college degree involved, and they may not suspect that you're not a bad guy, or they just decide that, hey, I can speak to you this way. And I thought, if I had a better understanding of the law.
Orlando decided to apply to law school, and he was accepted. But one day, 2 years into his program, he was told to report to the dean's office for a surprise meeting.
And they told me, you're not supposed to be here. You've wasted money. We don't think any state will license you. We're getting rid of you. You lied to us. I said, I didn't lie to you. They're like, yes, you did. We asked if you've ever been arrested. You said no. And I'm thinking, holy crap, I wanted to do everything by the book. I was honest. I didn't say no to that. And they're like, and then they looked at, they pulled, this is the dean of multicultural affairs is talking to me. He grabs an application. An application, which is just an application, right, which asks, have you been arrested? I'm like, I would not have lied about that. I said, can you give me my actual application?
Right.
On my application, it wasn't on it. It wasn't one of the questions. It asked if I had been convicted of a felony.
Amazing.
And at that point, I'm like, I can work with this one. Before law school, I had done the research. So I hadn't been convicted of a felony. I've been charged with all kind of stuff now. But I wasn't convicted of a felony.
Amazing.
But you shot people. You did this. I said, well, in Massachusetts, we don't consider an adjudication a conviction. Conviction and adjudication are two different things. And so my adjudication is me being a delinquent. That's technically not a crime. A crime is what an adult commits. So let me handle, he's like, well, he's like, can you provide us with the law? I said, yeah, I'll get you the law on it. I provided them with the law, and they're like, well, we'll go ahead and we'll provide you with, we're going to say that you did everything. And I said, I did everything by the book. They're like, the gun charges, you could have put that on the application. And I'm thinking to myself, did y'all read my personal statement? Because my personal statement told you who I was, where I came from, who I am today. It alluded to the fact that I had done these things. Right. I didn't want to hide those things because I already knew it was an uphill battle anyway. I figured, let me take my chances. But I known that I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't living a certain lifestyle. I mean, why would you disqualify me at this point?
Orlando finished law school, and he studied for the bar exam.
I was broke when it came time to take the bar exam. So I'm studying because I always believe it's going to happen.
Right.
But the exam is kind of pricey. I'm paying stuff. I have other obligations. I can't afford to do it. So day of the application, I filled it out. I did everything, but I didn't have the money. My sister's like, I'll give you the money. Let's go. Now let me tell you how crazy this is. The courthouse where you submit your application, the deadline is 5 o'clock. This is December. I want to say December 12th. Cherie's working. She tells me, I'm going to give you the money. I'm now rushing to get my application to make sure it's right. It's slushing right now. It's Friday.
Slushing the weather.
The snow. It's
Got
December. It's just slush going on. Hard. She gets to the house around 4:42. I know the time because I'm like, she's like, I got the money right here. I was like, but I told you when she talked to me earlier and told me she would do it. So I'm like, okay. But I told her we can't use money. I need to go in there with a money order or something.
Right.
So we rush. We stop at the bank. There's a bank. We rush in there and they're like, well, you need some nonsense. Do you have an account here? I got an account at another bank. She runs in and the whole nine. They give her the money order. We rush, we get in the car. Now we are at Upham's Corner.
You got to get where, downtown?
We got to get downtown.
Wow.
It's about 4:48 now. The traffic is crazy. It's raining, it's snowing, it's slushy, it's slippery out there. She's driving. She's going through red lights.
Wow.
She's cutting through. And I'm like, I don't want to be a lawyer that bad. I'm sorry. Now we're going downtown, and I don't really know which courthouse it is.
Wow.
I just know it's the courthouse downtown, the John Adams courthouse. I don't know how she did it. She cut through some streets, and I said, let me jump out and run into the court. I know that's a court right there.
Right.
I jumped out running because it is now 4:58. I know I can't make it, but I'm just still trying because she put so much effort into it.
Right.
I run into the courthouse. I run through the metal detector. The guy tells me, he's like, hey, stop. And I'm like, hey, I need to find out if this is the court, the John Adams. He's like, where you going? I said, I need to turn in. He was like, yeah, this is the court. He's like, but you can't go through here. You got to go, come around, take your stuff off. And he's like, the court is closing, man. I said, it's 4:59.
Right.
I run into the bar thing. They said, we're closed. I said, it's 4:59. Please.
Wow.
The lady comes up. She's like, you got your application? You got your stuff? She goes through my application. She's doing a checklist. My heart's breathing. I'm like, thank you so much. I can't believe I made it. She's like, yeah, it's 5 o'clock. I shouldn't be like, and she's like, I shouldn't even do this for you. But she did. And then she's like, looked at the application. I had filled out the wrong application. I had filled out the application for people taking the bar the second time in Massachusetts. It was my first time taking it. So she said, you know what? I'm going to stamp this for you.
Wow.
On Monday morning, you better be here bright and early. And I'm going to switch this. And she's like, I stamped it because you're here. You did it. But you're going to bring in another application completed. And Monday morning, I was there bright and early. She'd done it.
Orlando passed the bar on his first attempt. He was now officially an attorney, and a very grateful one.
The reality is, if my sister hadn't given me that money, and she didn't drive like a mad person, the likelihood is, and they tell you, for every time you take the bar, there's a less probability that your probability of passing goes down exponentially.
Wow.
Because life kicks in. You no longer have grace periods. You got to get a job, so you can't study and you can't do these things. And I don't think that I would have passed because life was kicking in for me at the time. I was broke. I couldn't even pay to take that exam. My sister had to give me the money to take it. And if she hadn't driven the way she drove that night, if she didn't give me that money, it wouldn't have happened.
Orlando credits the women in his life, especially the first one who gave him permission to want something more than being a drug dealer.
I'm no longer with the mother of my children, but I probably would have to say she played the biggest part in me making it to the next level. She didn't have a problem with me going cold turkey and being broke. We need Pampers, and you need to provide, but you're broke. But don't worry, because I need for you to do something else. I need for you to not worry about this right now. And had she not been the person near and pushing me to, she's a big part of us.
Does she know that?
She doesn't know that. I probably would never tell her that. We don't even talk.
And there's one more woman whom Orlando thanks for the biggest gift of all.
My first semester, law school, I was not doing well. I was a little older than most of my peers that were there. And I was a teen parent. These are people who never, they weren't dealing with rents and mortgages and bills. And so my grades were average. But my mother was killed in an accident, as you know. And she was killed while I was taking finals. And the school allowed me some time to take the final because my mother passed away. And I know, I don't think it, I know, given the situation, that I would not have made it through law school if I didn't have that time, if I didn't have that extra time. So I hate that I tell myself that my mother gave me a gift in death to do that. I don't share it, but
God bless Miss Cruz. God bless her.
In death, that was a gift. Serious.
Today, Orlando is part of a thriving law practice. His daughter is in college and his son's in private school. And over the years, he's been able to be of service to some of the people he hurt in his past. And in the process, perhaps begin to heal some of the old wounds.
The incident that I talked about, those 3 individuals, I've helped them.
Wow.
I've
amazing.
represented 2 of them in court.
Wow.
And one of them I helped with some legal issues they were having.
Talk about restorative justice.
Yeah, and so, and I recall one of the guys not wanting to approach me about it and had some concern because we had done, because of what happened in the past. And I talked to him and I said, listen, do you have kids? How old are your kids? What do you think of your kid? I said, well, that was us. I mean, when you think of your kid being, needing to grow up and being I said, I made a big mistake. What I did, I hope that you see that as not malice towards you anyway. I was young and I was dumb. I grew up loving you, knowing you. We had this one incident that changed our lives, but it hasn't changed the core essence of who we are as men today, which is someone who can say, we were kids and you made a mistake, I made a mistake, and my goal in life is to be helpful now.
Orlando's story is cinematic. A street kid turned criminal, turned college graduate, turned lawyer. But perhaps the greatest evolution he's made is in becoming a complete human being. Well, thank you, brother. Orlando Cruz, my brother. Thanks for sharing your story,
pleasure.
man. EXCONversations is produced by Joel Oliker at Powderhouse Productions. Edited and mixed by Douglas Stevens at Creative Audio and Post. For more information and to get on our mailing list, go to our website at EXCONversations.com. That's EXCONversations.com. Until next time, I'm Taimul Abdur-Rahman. Thanks for listening.